It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have, you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Folks, this election, we are coming down to the final days. And of course, tonight begins the first debate taking place between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Next week will be Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence. And then 2 more debates between Trump and Biden. A lot of attention on the Democratic side has been focused on black women, understandably so. But black men also matter as well. Trump campaign, they believe they can get upwards of 20% of the black male vote because of how well they did with him in 2016. You've also had a number of black men speaking out, talking about the need for a black agenda. Ice Cube, Puff Daddy, we're still waiting on Puffy's plan that he talked about back in June. But an interesting video dropped. Tyler, the Creator, dropped a video, and it's also interesting you have other people out there. Mike Tyson announced that he'll be voting for the first time as well. Snoop Dogg, same thing. But Tyler, the Creator, dropped this video to his 8 million Twitter followers about the importance of voting, and look, he cut right to the chase.
Yo, it's T. Look, I know I'm the last person y'all should ever take advice from, but I'm reiterating what everyone else is saying. And please, please, if you are young and your fucking back don't hurt, go to them polls and cast a fucking vote. And I didn't give a fuck about none of this shit, just like a lot of y'all. This is actually going to be my first time voting, but I am on the other, I see the light. And a lot of y'all gonna be like, my vote doesn't matter, and they're gonna pick who they want. Yeah, you weird ass. Keep that up. Y'all was posting black squares and protesting from y'all phone and writes this and canceling everybody. Pull up. Y'all want a new DA? Pull up. Y'all want all these rights and shit? Then fucking pull up. The shit that I actually give a fuck about is more art in schools and more music classes in schools, and them changing the curriculum that they've had the same curriculum since 1442, judging everybody on the same shit. And I have female friends who need certain things, and I like being able to fuck on and marry whoever the fuck I want at any given moment. And if we want to keep some of those options, then we have to start somewhere. And I'm not a fucking encyclopedia on this shit, but I know one goddamn thing that if we want any of that, then y'all know what to do. Y'all gotta pull up. Actually go to the polls, because some of that mail-in shit gonna try to call fraud. So if you could go to the polls, and I know them lines gonna be long and it's gonna be hot, but please, do that. All right? It's hot as fuck. And this was like my 3rd take of this video. And yes, love.
Then, of course, last month, that was Jaheim who, looking like I Dream of Jeannie with this video.
I'm gonna get to this bag about this Trump. Trump has saved a lot of people, man. Face it, it is what it is. I don't give a damn who don't like it. Do your homework, because I'm going to post some more stuff. I'm going to wake y'all up. And, yeah, if it wasn't for Trump taking the stance that he's taken, you guys would have been done. Finished. Finito. Yes. Flint, Michigan. Y'all already know I'm with y'all, man. Love y'all. And we're going to heal that nation over there. Peace. We're going to get to this battle
Now,
about
Tyler,
this Trump.
Jaheim didn't have no specificity on any topic. Let's talk about our panel. Anthony Coley, he's a political strategist, founder of Corner Office Strategies, worked, of course, as press secretary for the Treasury Secretary under President Barack Obama. Gary Chambers, he's the publisher, advocate for the Rouge Collection, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, also. Bruce Franks, former Missouri State Representative. Glad to have y'all here. A little bit later, folks will be joined by a couple of other folks on the media side. Bruce, I want to start. I'm going to start with you, Gary. Gary, you're right there in Louisiana. When they had the special election in Alabama, there was so much attention when the election was over about how black women put Senator Doug Jones over the top. 96% of black women voted for Doug Jones. But 93% of black men also voted for Doug Jones. And I heard from a number of different brothers who were saying, I'm sorry, did our votes count in this whole deal? And I go back to the 2012 election. There was a 9-point gap between black men and black women who voted for Obama over Romney. That swelled to 13% in 2016, Trump over Hillary Clinton. As I said, the White House, and I've heard it from them directly, they really believe that they can get 20% or more of the black male vote. So the question is, do you believe that these campaigns are really targeting black men, or are they ignoring issues that are relevant specifically to black men?
I think that when you think about Donald Trump and his policies, that his policies have not overall been beneficial for black people. If you look at the method in which he handled the coronavirus, black folks are dying at an alarming rate from COVID-19, and that's because of his irresponsibility as a commander-in-chief. When you look at the economic situation in America, black folks have always been at the bottom economically, and just because he continued a trend of a healthy economy post-Obama, right? He has not done a good job managing the crisis, which is going to put us in a terrible situation. But I want to get to the point that you made about Doug Jones in Alabama, Roland, because I think that is a critical point, right? There's so many times where we divide the black male and the black female vote, and I think it's problematic, right? I do recognize that there are percentage points gaps between black male and black women voters, right? But at the end of the day, black men are still voting for Democrats in large, right? The majority of black men are voting the way that the majority of black women are voting. And I think that when we allow this divide to exist, what happens is people use the divisions that are created within our community to say, see, this is why I'm not voting that way, because they don't value my vote anyway. They're pitting the black woman and the black man against each other in this sliver of a way, but it works. And so the goal for Trump is to just get enough black folks not to vote for Biden or not to vote at all, right? All of the conspiracy theories about mail-in voting, all of the talking he's having about not leaving office if he's elected, all of these things are to get people to feel such a way that they get disengaged from the voting process. And that's exactly the last thing we need to do. I live in Louisiana. We rank 50 in the nation of all states, right? And so when you look at where we are, I can tell you that Republican policies do not work. Republicans run our state Senate. They run our state House. They run the majority of the local municipalities in the state of Louisiana, and we rank 50 in the nation. So Republican policies are terrible. They do not work.
To that particular point, Malik, that you heard Gary just talk about there, we know for a fact that Donald Trump often talked about the black voter. He said what the hell you have to lose, but then he also thanked black people. He actually thanked black people for not voting. But the folks at Channel 4 in the UK, they dropped a 20-minute piece yesterday that actually detailed how the Trump campaign was attempting to deter black voters. The program was literally called Deterrence, where they marked areas where black people live, and they marked in terms of targeting them with messaging to keep them from voting. Here's some of that piece.
There were Annettes in street after street. In Ward 111, 41% of identified voters were marked deterrence. Turnout fell from 81% in 2012 to 55%. In Ward 147, 40% were marked for deterrence. Turnout plunged from 83% in 2012 to just 63%. In Ward 109, 39% were marked for deterrence. Turnout fell from 79% in 2012 to 59% in 2016. Bridget and Tamara were also marked for deterrence.
What do you remember about the 2016 election and your feelings about voting back then?
Well, actually, I didn't vote. I really actually never vote.
It turns out that both of you were on a list held by the Trump campaign in which they profiled people who lived in these areas, and they had you down to be deterred from voting.
Yeah.
They didn't want you to vote.
Yeah, and that's very wrong because you're prejudging people. And I'm very upset about it because you're categorizing me and you're saying who I am in your eyes, and I'm really no one because you're already saying I can't make up my own mind.
Well, should we have a look at what they thought they knew about you?
Yeah.
Is that your birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And that's your address?
Yes, it is.
So this is you we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, then when it comes to your personality, it says you're not very open as a person.
I'm very open. Most
You're
people
very
very
open.
much like me. I make first impressions very good on the first.
What do you think about the fact that they hold this kind of
I think they're
information?
wrong because I think that what they need to do is meet the individual.
They used to have you
Well,
down
like, the thing here is that the Trump folk they say they can get black male voters, but really what they did in 2016 was to keep black men and black women not voting. That's also how they targeted.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever heard any accusation that the Donald Trump campaign was interested in suppressing the black vote. We have to remember that in 2016, Donald Trump got about 8% of the black vote, which was more than what Mitt Romney and John McCain got. I know that the Trump campaign has been actively trying to actually get more of the black vote, to the point I wish they had actually talked to some black men in that clip you just showed.
Well, actually, no,
But you
let me be clear. Again, it's a 20-minute piece. They talked to a variety of people. We just simply played that. But again, Channel 4 got the actual database from the Trump campaign, and where it said black voters, it said deterrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly have no context for that at all, Roland, to understand what deterrence. When I've worked on campaigns before, so I know how that when we're going out, we have voter lists, and they do have things that are likely voters, super voters, and things like that. The whole idea of deterrence, I've literally never heard of that in any political campaign that I worked on. But to your point about the black male vote, I do believe that there is an opportunity there for Donald Trump in 2020, in addition to what it was in 2014. Yes, 2016, Donald Trump did get about, I think, 14 or so % of the black male vote, which was far exceeded what he got from black female vote. You made a point, and I think this is something that we need to understand. You made a point because people really don't talk about what happened with the black male vote versus 2008 with Barack Obama and 2012. In 2008, Barack Obama got about, I think, 95% of the black male vote, and I think about 96% of the black female vote. By the 2012 general election, I think Barack Obama got about 87 or so % of the black male vote. It wasn't because there was something inherently racist or anything about the Obama administration. It was about, I think, largely what we saw is that there was a lot of focus on black women, which
It's valid. But if you think about some of the things that were going on through Barack Obama's administration, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, all of these people, John Crawford, you heard a lot of focus about how Black women, how those Black mothers felt, but you really didn't hear anything about Tracy, who was Trayvon Martin's father. You didn't hear a lot about Michael Brown's father. It was a lot of focus
Well,
on that.
I don't know.
And
I don't.
again,
Well, I mean, I don't know. First of all, that's not. I mean, I can tell you. I know I interviewed both of them.
well, Roland, Roland, you
I'm not.
are
I'm not
so
done.
far different than
I'm not.
anyone else.
I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm saying I interviewed both of them. I know they also spoke at different events, spoke at different rallies as well. But I also know, Anthony, how people do when you do PR, they would talk. They were in groupings called Mothers of the Movement. That's a part of that. So, Anthony, on this whole deal, in terms of, again, do you think that these campaigns have ignored Black men, but have really been focused on, again, Black women? Because let's be clear, Black women also turn out more when it comes to elections. You need people to turn out. And so bottom line is, I'm going to focus on who comes out and who doesn't.
Listen, let me tell you something. I was raised by a strong Black woman, like so many folks here on this panel. If you want something done, go to a Black woman. Black women get it done time and time again. The reality is, I'm particularly disturbed by that last piece on Channel 4, because the reality is that there are a number of Black men who, quite frankly, are open to Donald Trump. The Republican Party doesn't need to set up these type of roadblocks that, we're seeing in Louisiana and that we are, seeing in Pennsylvania and Michigan. But when I was preparing for this call, Roland, I talked to a good friend of mine. We went to Morehouse together. He's an educated man. He's got an MBA, lives out in California. He was a Democrat with me down in Atlanta 20 years ago. He voted for Donald Trump in 2016. And I asked Tory why he did that. And what he told me, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't misquote him, he told me that he sees that Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, he sees them as all the same. He sees them as the old guard. And so my point for bringing this up is that there is a sense in the American electorate at large where people are frustrated with the state of the American political system. And Donald Trump, quite frankly, has an opening there if he focuses on the economy and how his policies or lack thereof can improve the plight of individual men and women. Listen, I'm a Democrat. I'm not going to vote for him. But my message to anybody who is on the fence right now, take a look at the policies and see how those policies will directly impact your life. This election is not about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This election is about you and how you benefit.
Bruce, it's interesting. I mean, I've heard that. I've seen it in data as well, where Black men and others, he's a disruptor. That Trump is a disruptor, right. And they like that. Well, that's like somebody coming and breaking into your house and tearing shit up. They're disrupted too, but you ain't trying to have all your stuff torn up.
Facts. I think when I think about Donald Trump, when I think about this idea, even the idea of Donald Trump, and what I will say is, when I got elected in 2016, there was a gentleman that said, I voted for you, and I voted for Donald Trump, and I asked him why, and he said something to the effect that the brother said before is, you're not the same old. Now, fortunately, we've gotten to see exactly what the Trump administration is about. And if I could echo and actually elaborate a little bit on what the brother said before me, is that when we vote in this election, folks might not be excited about none of the candidates. That's when we have to start looking at policy. That's when we have to start looking at administrations, right? Because we can talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, but at the end of the day, when you have a person who is willing to appoint Jeff Sessions, when you have a person that is willing to appoint DeVoe, when you have a person that's really willing to appoint Attorney Barr, these folks who proved to be problematic as far as policy wise when it comes to criminal justice system, when it comes to education, but especially when it disproportionately affects Black and brown people, specifically Black folks.
Michael Harriot with The Root I get a kick out of that when folks say Trump is not the same old, as if they don't see what the hell he actually did. I mean, when I'm having these conversations with people, I'm going, let's go to Michael, who's on FaceTime. I'm like, Michael, I have this conversation. I'm like, do y'all understand that when Donald Trump says, I don't like progressive DAs, we're going to pull back consent decrees, he touts the First Step Act. He talks about, how black unemployment was before COVID, but doesn't talk about all the other stuff that's actually happened with Black people. And so what are Black men listening to? Is it this notion of strength that, or is it that they bought into the persona of wealth and power, and that Donald Trump, he's a rich man, which we actually now know from his taxes, he broke as hell. Michael?
Well, one thing we have to realize, first of all, is like all of this, a lot of this conversation is based on a lack of knowledge of math. Like the people who think that Donald Trump got a lot of Black male voters are disregarding the fact that the percentage of the total number of Black voters declined in 2016.
Right.
So he got the same number of Black male voters that Republicans usually get, but because the number of Black people who voted overall was less, it looked like he got a bigger percentage, but he didn't get the total number of Black voters, of Black male voters didn't really increase that much for Donald Trump. But we also have to acknowledge that like Black women fit more into the Democratic constituency because like dumb people vote for Donald Trump. Dumb people vote for Republicans. That's data, right? Like uneducated people vote for Republicans, and uneducated white people for the most part, but some dumb, some uneducated Black people also vote for the Republican Party. And because Black women are the most educated constituency in the electorate, right? They almost 0% of Black women. I think it was 98%, but the other 2% was negligible.
I think Anthony Coley disagrees with you. Go ahead.
So here's so anyone who voted for Donald Trump in 2016, we don't think you're dumb.
I disagree with that one. I think if you vote for Donald Trump, you are dumb. But go right ahead, Anthony. Go ahead with your point.
No.
See, I know what you're saying. I was on CNN once, and John Avlon said, "Roland, we shouldn't call voters dumb." No, some dumbass voters. But Anthony, go ahead.
So listen, I'm a Democrat. I work for Ted Kennedy, the biggest Democrat there is, right? I haven't always voted for Democrats in every election. In the election, I used to live in Maryland. And
Same here. It's still some dumb voters, but go ahead.
I voted for the two Republican governors on multiple occasions. My point is that people have to make the decision about who will best impact their lives in a fundamental way. And I think for the majority of Black people, when you do that, when you take the time to look at the data and examine the proposals, I think Biden is the right choice for the overwhelming majority of Black folks. But having said that, I don't think anyone who has a different view is dumb. I just think they have a different point of view. I want to get beyond this fact where if you don't agree with me, you're dumb or evil, because that's not what this campaign is about. This campaign is about each individual one of us. It's not about, name calling. I think we got to get beyond that.
The reason I'll say that, Gary, because bottom line is this here. Michael, go ahead. Michael, you trying to jump in?
Right. Well, if we're going to be honest about the electorate, right? Like we can acknowledge that some Black men are socially conservative. Some Black men are anti-gay. Some Black men are anti-abortion, and some of those people fit into the Donald Trump constituency also. But if we're going to be honest, we also have to admit that there are dumb people who believe that Donald Trump is smart, who believe that he worked hard and earned all of his money, who believe that he doesn't lie, who believe that he is a Christian. Those people are dumb, right? Like, if we're going to not, we don't have to vilify people and cast aspersions on them to say that the things that they believe are wrong. And if you consistently believe wrong things, then you are dumb. Like, that's the definition of dumb. So yeah, like, there are some socially conservative Black voters. There are some people who don't agree with the Democratic majority or most Black people. And then there are dumb people. And we have to acknowledge that some of the people who vote for Donald Trump are dumb.
Gary, I do believe this is important, though. I do believe this is critical. And that is, when you look at disaffected folks, whether you are Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whether you're a Democrat, Republican Party, whether you are running for city council, state government, you do have to figure out, Gary, you got to figure out how to connect with people who believe the entire system has completely forgotten me. And I've heard that. Right. And if we can do one thing, stop thinking every Black man is having a conversation in a barbershop. Go ahead.
So when I go to the barbershop, I prefer a VIP experience where it's just me in the barbershop. So that is absolutely correct, Roland.
Same here.
I'm not in a whole lot of chatter when I go to the barber. However, for me, I do think that the Democratic Party does a great job targeting Black women to go vote. I live in Baton Rouge. We have a Black woman as the mayor. We have a host of Black women. We had 5 Black women on our city council at one time. The majority of our judiciary were Black women. The majority of our state women from here in Baton Rouge were Black women. And the party structure goes after Black women. Therefore, Black women turn out for them. The party does not invest in Black men the same way. They're not brunches for brothers for Biden, right? They're not, but there might be a brunch for women for Biden, right? There may be a host of Zoom calls with people. And I really have a question is, when is Joe Biden going to reach out to the Deep South in a way that's serious, right? Because regardless of what happens, he's going to want to have a sizable lead in the popular vote as well as win the Electoral College so that this is indisputable on election day, right? And if he does not have a large enough margin across the country, then that's where this is going to be decided in Trump's courts, right? And for Black people who are debating this, you got to ask yourself, who do you want making the decision about whether or not you are charged with federal crimes, right? A pro-police Republican U.S. attorney or somebody who is appointed by a more liberal person who looks at the law differently than conservatives with this whole law and order stuff. And the truth is, law and order only exists when they're talking about Black and brown people. There is no law and order when they talk about Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right? When you talk about him, you have conservative white people that are raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to help this murderer, right? And so when we quantify these things, there's levels to this. And when you talk about whether or not Joe Biden is perfect, by no stretch of the imagination is he perfect. Are there questionable things in his past? Yes. But there's levels to this, okay? And Trump is a whole nother level of bigotry and ignorance that we cannot survive another 4 years.
I'm going to bring in Terrain Walker, founder of Context Media. Terrain, I can tell you, I have specifically asked the Biden campaign to do a Black male-only town hall. I've seen, and I take it back to last year. I personally asked nearly every Democratic candidate to do one of these events. The only person who came close to actually scheduling it was Pete Buttigieg. I asked all of them. Let me be clear for everybody out there. I personally asked first Senator Cory Booker, Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Congressman Julian Castro, Tom Steyer, Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders, and there were several others who I personally asked them, and it was like, but again, even now, I mean, we live streamed a dialogue that Senator Kamala Harris had with black women in Michigan, and I've said, y'all need to have one where you're targeting black men because you got to speak to those issues as well. Terrain.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really feel like a lot of black men, I don't think they're necessarily going to vote for Trump, but a lot of black men feel like the DNC and the establishment Democrats have pretty much written them off. They feel like they are pretty much they have a lockdown. They have that voter base on lock, and they don't have to do anything special to kind of court that base. But I can tell you, I'm based in Atlanta, and which is the Deep South, even though it's Atlanta. And there is a lot of conversation among black men from all type of socioeconomic strata, from poor, wealthy, to working class. And a lot of them really feel abandoned and they feel rejected by the party. And this election is for this election and for Joe Biden to win, he's going to need every single vote. And they can't afford to take any vote for granted, not in the black community or not in any other community they want to reach. And I think that's the problem. They have to get serious about talking about policy that's going to definitely affect black males, whether it's economics, whether it's unemployment. Right now, the black male unemployment rate is 16.3%, according to the Department of Labor. 41% of black-owned businesses have been shuttered due to COVID. These are very serious issues that are going to affect black communities and black men. And if they don't start talking about that, a lot of black men feel like they're going to sit home, I believe.
I'm going to go to Bruce next, and we're going to do this here. Michael, we're going to drop you for a second. We need to bring Melik back. We're going to put the two of you in a FaceTime group. So you're coming right back. Bruce, I want to go to you on this one here because, again, what we're talking about is messaging. We're talking about outreach. Bruce, what are you hearing out there that black men want to hear from candidates that they're not hearing?
Right. And so for me, the black men that I'm surrounded by, right, the black men that I'm in communication with are the ones that are the unlikely voters. And they're the ones that want people to meet them where they at. They're not going to show up on your van list. They're not going to show up on your dedicated voter list. And so what they want to hear is talk about what criminal justice reform look like. When we talk about defunding the police, that's a real thing. You know, that's a real tangible thing that we've seen take place and can take place, but nobody's talking about it on a federal level for the most part, really outside of Cori Bush. And so when you talk about those policies that directly affect us, as black men and black people as a whole, but as you asked specifically black men, we got to talk about those things that disproportionately affect us, like the criminal justice system, like police reform. I mean, we have to watch the news. We have to look at social media every day and see a black man or a black woman killed at the hands of those who are supposed to protect us. So when are we going to have real conversations about dismantling this carceral system? And that's the conversations that I'm having with those who are in the cracks and crevices of the streets and might not show up on those likely voter lists.
Also, Anthony, and I have no problem going here. Black males gotta damn it organize and mobilize. Now, there are folks who are doing that. But let me tell you something right now. I know this for a fact. There's a group of black women. When I say a group, I'm talking about it damn near numbers 800. Who have been meeting every Sunday night for the past several weeks. Guest speakers, major speakers, focused on mobilizing, organizing. I have been saying I'm a life member of Alpha Phi Alpha, right here.
Yeah.
I've been saying to my frat, we can't have all of this black male infrastructure and we ain't using it. I said the Omegas, to the Kappas, to the Sigmas, to the Iotas, you take 100 black men, you got all these black male groups out here, you got this infrastructure, you got Prince Hall Mason, I'm one of them too, you got Sigma Pi Phi, the Boulay, I'm one of them too. It's real simple. You can't have this and then you're in your own little world and you're not out here mobilizing and organizing. You got to do it.
That's exactly right. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, we all have a sphere of influence. And so how are we going to use our sphere of influence to bring about the change that we want? You know, it doesn't necessarily, everybody's not an alpha or a kappa or an omega or a sigma, right? Everybody's not a Freemason, but you know what you are on? You are on that group chat with 10 of your college buddies, right? You are a member of your church or your mosque, right? So all of us have something that we can do to encourage those within our sphere of influence to get out and vote. But Roland, I want to go back to the previous conversation that you just had about messaging. One of the things that we are seeing in the data about why people support Donald Trump more than or are open to Donald Trump is because this sense of him being a successful businessman. We know through the New York Times reporting and others that is not as true as what he purports. So if I'm Joe Biden, if I am writing his messaging to Black voters and potential Black male voters, I am going to talk about all of the things we talked about in terms of criminal justice reform and in terms of healthcare. I'm talking about it through an economic lens, because at the end of the day, what Black men want to do is to be able to provide for their families. That is head and shoulders above anything. So when you talk about coronavirus and you talk about criminal justice issues and you talk about systemic injustice, I would talk about it through the lens of economic security. That's how he communicates to us. And that's, in my opinion, is how the best way to go about getting the Black male vote.
That's the thing that, and anyone can jump in if y'all want to, that economic messaging piece is critical, Gary, because I've heard, and I need people to understand, we're not talking about just brothers who are on Wall Street. No, we're talking about cats who are barbers. We're talking about cats who have food trucks. We're talking about brothers who are looking at taxes, who are looking at tax bracket, who are looking at those things. I've had brothers who are on my Instagram say, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump because this is what my 401k has done. This is what my tax liability has gone. And so others have said, yeah, but you can't just make a decision solely about you. You got to think about the collective. But you got cats who are saying, damn, the collective, I'm only thinking about me, my wife, and my kids.
Well, let's be clear, Roland. Let's be clear. You paying more in taxes than Donald Trump. Okay?
Very true.
So
very true.
And pretend like Cuz got your best interests at heart. He doesn't. He is looking out for him. And if you adopt the same position as Donald Trump, all you are is a crook, a cheat, and a fraud to your community. From my position, right? I'm not going to tell anybody that you can't look out for your pocketbook. But what I will tell you is how much is Trump improving the contractual relationship between Black businesses and the federal government, right? How much is Trump leaning in on Republican governors around the country and Republican mayors and telling them that we need you to do business with Black entrepreneurs? Because I can tell you that many municipalities are less than 5 and 10%, if at any, contracts with Black businesses. So don't tell me that you support me. Now, what I will tell you is Donald Trump, at minimum, does attempt to go after Black men. He does sit there and say, what do you have to lose? I believe we have everything to lose supporting Donald Trump. And I'm going to tell you, as a Black man who is building a business, who's providing for his family, trying to make it and move from one level to the next level, it is grossly insulting for you to tell me that you're looking out for me and you making millions of dollars, but you paying $750 in taxes while we're paying thousands of dollars when we know that the income that he has or is proposed to have had, right, is far greater than that of the average Black man. So if you siding with somebody who is basically cheating the system so you can pay more in taxes, you a fool.
Bruce, I saw you were snapping your fingers. Go ahead.
Listen, I'm sending that brother a Christmas card. Listen, I want to go back to this messaging because I definitely appreciate every single one of the brothers' input. Economics is very important. And Roland, this is something you and I talked about our prior interview. Economics is very, very important. Do not get me wrong. What Black men are tired of is dying at the end of the day. when you talk about this system, when you talk about the Republican Party, when you talk about even certain other aspects of this system, right, there is prosperity in our poverty, right? There is prosperity in them keeping us in the
I'm gonna
places
snap you on
that.
that one.
Wow.
That was
Listen,
good.
bro, when we talk about defunding the police, we talk about criminal justice reform, when we talk about the carceral system, right? We talk about mass incarceration. Who benefits from mass incarceration? Who benefits from us going to jail each and every day? Who benefits from us dying each and every day? If a candidate can have the bold stance, right? Because what black men that I'm talking to are tired of is this safeness, right? This idea of we gonna vote safe because this is the moderate way to do it. Well, moderate ain't got us where we need to be. Because at the end of the day, we still dying out here. We still dying. We still poor. We still scrapping for the same resources we've been scrapping for. We still fighting for the right to vote. We still fighting against all these oppressive systems. So this safeness ain't got us nowhere. So when we have somebody that can take a bold stance, right? Like that's the messaging we need to talk about. We really need to dig deep into why this system is being fed. We need to stop feeding the system. But the way we're going to stop feeding the system is if we have those candidates who are going to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to take this bold stance right here, but not only am I going to take it, I'm going to walk the talk. Because at the end of the day, no matter who gets in office, if they drink the Kool-Aid and understand, you know what, this system ain't built for us. So it's all right if we take this step back. It's all right if we don't concentrate on those certain type of folks.
I'm gonna bring Michael Herod to this conversation to that point, Michael. And the reason why I say why you have to dress brothers specifically is for the same reason why you address sisters specifically. It's the same reason why if you are Biden or Harris or if you are Trump or if you running for the Senate or the House, you talking to suburban folks specifically. You're talking to other because you have to say, okay, if I can reach you and speak to what you care about, not only are you gonna vote, you're gonna be a surrogate without me even ask you to be one because you're going to get others to buy into it.
Which is, Roland, which is why one of the things that I can't understand is why the Democratic Party won't reach out to black male voters, right? Because, like, again, it goes back to math. We know that black men aren't voting in the numbers that black women are voting in, right? But instead of going after black men, they'll go to these white people who they know when push comes to shove is going to always vote for the Republican candidate instead of the Democratic Party. White people are always historically going to vote Republican, but they will chase those votes instead of a group of black men who all they want you to do, as the brother said previously, is to fight for them, and we don't see them fighting for them. Like there's this whole hullabaloo, right, over this empty Supreme Court seat, right? And when Barack Obama was president, the Senate Democrats had the Senate for 6 years and didn't invoke the nuclear option while these federal seats were empty. We're talking about the Supreme Court seat, but these federal seats were empty that Obama could have filled that gotten these black men out of prison. We know that Republican judges sentence black men to 20% longer sentences than liberal judges appointed by liberals or Democrats, right? So, like, the Democratic Party was just playing this conservative political game of nothing, while as soon as Republicans got party, they fought for their people. They're going to outlaw abortion. They're going to feel Trump is packing the federal benches. We want someone to fight for us like that. And in the wake of the Democratic Party just sitting back and doing nothing to get black men and doing nothing for the black men who voted for him, it's hard to see why black men would just jump out on a limb and run after a party who's not running after them. If the Democratic Party increased the base of black voters, then we don't have to convince black Trump voters not to vote for Trump. Because if 14% out of 100 people voted for Trump, he gets 14%. If 14 out of 200 voted for Trump, you get 7.5%. So if you increase the number of voters, you don't have to worry about those dodos who vote for a man who wants to kill them or kick them out of his country.
Which goes to terrain investment, and that is very simple. You have to actually make the investment, which also means being very specific, investment in black media, in those organizations, in those entities, talking to them. And again, I get politics. That is, you put your emphasis on where you're going to get the greatest return. But if you don't plant the seeds, nothing will ever grow.
Exactly. And I want to speak to that if you don't mind. I think a lot of candidates don't really see the value in talking to black media because they feel like, if you cover your bases with the mainstream, then everything's fine. But there are a lot of people who don't have TV, who get all their information off social media and they get it off their cell phones. And you have to go there and you have to hit those people with solid policy. For right now, from what I've been seeing from a lot of candidates, is a lot of entertainment, and you see a lot of focus on optics and the sort of like presentation, but they're not really doing a really good job of getting policy out to these people, and they're hungry for it. You have to trust your voter base to be willing to listen to what you have to say and be intelligent enough to want to hear what your policy positions are. You have to stop being afraid of that.
I want Anthony. This is I want to speak to you and Gary, because I think Gary comes at this from an activist point and you come at from the political class point. And this is where, Anthony, it's also, you got to think differently. And that is this here. If I got bros, if I've reached bros who don't have college degrees, if I've reached those individuals who aren't in professional organizations, if I've reached those individuals who are not in the political class, again, what I should be doing is amplifying them, because they also are going to reach folk who are not your ordinary voters. And that Desmond Meade told me that. He said the reason the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition was so successful is because they weren't afraid to go into public housing complexes. They weren't afraid to go into low-income neighborhoods. They weren't afraid to go there. He said, and then they sent people there who had credibility with the very folk who they were talking to, and then they educated them on policy and things like that. He said, and that's how they were able to build that coalition in Florida to get Amendment 4 passed.
I think you're onto something, which is why that video with Tyler, the Creator, was so important. This is why the Biden campaign has enlisted Frankie Beverly to host events for his behalf, on his behalf. The other part of this are things that happen organically. And we have not spent any time talking about this video that a group of Atlanta strippers released.
Well, actually, I had the director on my show yesterday. I had her on the show yesterday explaining why they did it. And this is what she said. She said, point blank, we got a voice and we wanted to reach people who don't care about politics. And she said Atlanta is the capital of, she said people know Atlanta for Coca-Cola and Magic City. And see, now remember, there were a lot of other black people. I had Judge Joe Brown who sent me a text, and other people were like, oh, how dare, and they were black. I had black feminists who said, hey, we don't like this as well. But the director said, Angela Gomes, she said, hey, we trying to reach anybody and everybody. That's why we did it. So I'm like, okay, cool, go ahead.
Listen, it is unconventional, and that's my point about it, is that you have to meet people where they are. Right. So you can talk to the brother who has an MBA and reads the New York Times and who is unconvinced that he should vote for Trump. And then you can talk for the brother in Atlanta who got this on Instagram and, he's never voted before in his life. My point is that it should be all of the above, Roland. And I think that's the point that you were trying to make.
Folks, let's just do this here. We're going to get final thoughts for each one of you. Of course, the debate is tonight. I know folks want to get ready for that. And so I'm going to start first with Michael Harriot.
Right. I just have to say that the Democratic Party needs to reach out to every voter that it can, right? So we know that white people have mostly chosen their party, and black women always show up. And the people and the constituency that they can build a base with is black men. And it's not about having to appease black men. It is actually, all they have to do is just do the stuff they say they're going to do, right? Fight for black people like Republicans fight for white people, and black men will flock to the party in droves.
Bruce Franks.
I didn't get elected to the state house in Missouri, a highly Republican area, because I followed the ban list or because I went with every voter who was going to vote and we knew they was going to vote. We got in office because we went to every house, every person who was in the hood, who was in the cracks and crevices, the gangways, wherever it was. That's who we reached out to. That's who we got in front of, and we let them know what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. That's not exclusive to a state rep race. That's not exclusive to a Senate race. That can be done on a presidential level, on a federal level, if folks are willing to have the balls to get out there and go into the cracks and crevices of our community and get to the folks who are unengaged, because that's going to be what gets us over the hump. But you're going to have to do it with bold policies and bold stances.
Anthony Coley, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, I know people don't like using the word cons, but I'm sorry, if I'm sitting there putting the campaign together, I'm gonna have ex-cons for Biden, ex-cons for Trump, ex-cons for Frank. Again, what I'm thinking about is first of all, politics is completely about identity politics. Okay, it's segmented. It's all segmented. I don't care who you are. It's segmented by income, by race, by gender, by sexual orientation, what neighborhood you're from, and so I'm simply saying that if you're the Democratic Party and you actually want to really, really reach black men, you gotta actually talk to them, not talk around them.
That's exactly right. You have to talk to them and you have to meet them where they are. And what do I mean when I say that? There is a sentiment within not just the black community, but with the electorate in general, that the system is rigged. And if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris can talk, and I should actually speak directly to folks who are on the fence right now. This election is not about, either one of these two candidates. This election is about who can fundamentally make your economic life better for you and your family. I believe that's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but you have to study the policies yourselves. I believe when we talk about a system that is rigged, that is not working for all of us, or the least of these, as Scripture says, that we need candidates who are actually going to deliver on what they say when they talk about disrupting the system that's causing so much angst in our community.
Terrain.
What I want to say to the Democratic Party and the DNC is that they need to find the courage of their convictions, and they need to stop being in the middle and take definite stands about what they stand for, because right now that messaging is not coming across. And Kamala Harris and Joe Biden need to really go directly to black men and talk to them about what they can do for them to make their lives better, and how they can create a bridge between the gaps between their records and what they're known for and what they're standing for now. They can't afford to leave any votes behind at this point.
Gary Chambers, bring us home.
If I could send a message to Joe Biden directly, I would say, to sum up what all of these brothers have said, is every black vote. You got to go after every single black vote. And Joe has ran for president. Now, this is his third time, I believe, right? If you want something that you never had, Joe, you're going to have to do something you never done, which is go after black folks like you never have before. Not with pandering, but with policies, with ideas, and with credible people to black men. Don't show up with every suit and tie that you can find. Don't show up with somebody with every degree that you can find. Show up with people that the people actually know. Show up with people that are actually doing the work in the community and fighting for change. And I believe you will see black people begin to mobilize, because when you take us serious, we'll take you serious.
I think very simple, and that is this here. As Gary said, every vote does indeed count. And what it requires is, it requires leaders to actually lead. we're talking about now Zoom elections. We're talking about a digital piece right here. To me, this is where, if you're the campaigns, you speak directly to brothers. You have institutions out there. This is just me. If I'm the Biden-Harris campaign, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create, and I'm going to say, we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to have young brothers, older brothers. I'm going to have brothers who've been in jail, brothers who have not been in jail, brothers who are business owners, and brothers who are not business owners. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a conversation about those policy issues. I'm going to go right at it. And I'm going to sit here and invite every fraternity, every male group, every church group, send it out and say, put them all on. Put them all on. Create that Zoom or hop in or whatever platform you want to use, and then release the number and say you had 38,000 or 65,000 or 100,000 black men on a call. This ain't hard. Just the other day, BET did a partnership with the Biden-Harris campaign where they had HBCU students asking her questions. It was 25 minutes. I'm saying it's all you got to do. You got black men on the campaign. Plan it. Plan it. In the next 2 weeks, the Biden-Harris campaign should have a targeted deal. I've offered to moderate it. But it will never happen unless you're willing to do it. And that's what it boils down to. Michael Harriet, Anthony Coley, Terrain Walker, Gary Chambers, Bruce Franks, Malik Abdul, I appreciate all of you being with us, having this conversation. We will not be the last time we will have this conversation. I've had, and I've had all sisters on, and I've had all brothers on, so don't even try it. Y'all know how we roll. All right, folks, if you want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support this show. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo.com is /RM Unfiltered. You can also see, of course, a money order to New Vision Media, NU Vision Media Inc., 1625 K Street Northwest, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. I've had a lot of folks send us notes and things along those lines. Dear Roland, thank you, sir, for all you do to daily educate us. If I had millions of dollars, it would not be enough to thank you for your education, support, influence, and allegiance to our black and brown experience. God bless. Larita Jones. Larita, I appreciate that as well. Let's see here. From Annette Caraway, she kept it simple. This is for the Bring the Funk fan club. Annette, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let's see here. This letter comes from a brother, Democrat in a red state with the dumbest governor in existence, and that's saying something these days. Keep giving out that knowledge. Holla, Michael Newkirk, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I ain't never been a brother in South Dakota, but I certainly appreciate that. Let's see this here. I'm trying. If the Democrats take the Senate back, White House, here's what I want to see from them. Take away judges in Supreme Court and lower-level judiciary. Let's see. Cut down term limits to 10 years for judges. Make Puerto Rico and D.C. a state. Very good as well. All right, let's see here. Dear Roland, thank you for sharing your knowledge and shining light with into the recesses of our darkness. You are the oxygen we need to sustain our breathing right now. Please stay strong, stay bright, and stay woke. Respectfully, Gene Stewart. Gene, I appreciate that as well. Folks, so y'all on YouTube, y'all can give right there to support what we do on YouTube as well. Or you can go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Dear Roland Martin, thank you for being the first black newscast on Facebook and telling the real news. Alvin Young Jr. out of North Carolina. Alvin, I appreciate that, my brother. Let's see here. Roland, thank you for all you do. Keith Nickens, former U.S. Army infantry soldier. Keith, we thank you for your service. Keith, Roland, I first saw you on CNN, then I watched you on TV One. You left, and I was so hurt. I needed my Roland truth. I didn't do Facebook, Twitter, any of the other social media. However, after all the killing, I started speaking out on Facebook, and there is where I found my truth. Roland Martin, again, please use this to keep me awake since Trump woke since Trump woke Candace. That's too funny. Ronnie and Cheryl Woods. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let's see here. Oh, let me thank Houstonian Angela Blewett. She sent me. She actually makes a handcrafted soap, and she actually sent me some, and so it's in my office. So Angela, I appreciate that. I love the way you keep the Black community informed by discussing topics that interest us or that are not covered in mainstream media. I feel smarter every time I watch your show. Keep up the great work you're doing at RMU. I appreciate it. I'm gonna read one more before we go. And let's see if I can find a short one. All right, here we go. Dear Mr. Martin, you're doing a fine job. Keep up the work. I'm a supporter, voter, and want to be a fan club member. Thank you so much for your efforts, William Hardison. All right, William, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down, of course, post-debate. Oh, also, let me see this here. And, man, where's their card? Okay, so this was a sister who sent me this here. Okay, I don't know their name. One of your lifelong fans suggested we send you some Vote with Love gear. We hope this helps inspire your crew to grow empathy and cast a more thoughtful and informed vote this year. We invite you to wear and post and tag us, Vote with Love. This is the Vote with Love team. And so they actually sent me this Vote with Love mask right here. And so there we go. All right, folks. Post-debate tomorrow right here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Also, Kelly Bethea had a friend who gave me this shirt. I don't even know their name. And the shirt was called Love You Black Man. And so I wore it today for a black male panel. All right, folks, I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. I got to go. Follow me on, I'm going to jump on probably one of these platforms when the debate is over to share my thoughts. So just look out for our tweet. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!